Come book shopping with me online, but I won't purchase anything. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. And yes, I do have a glass of wine right here. So every spring, Sweden has a nationwide book sale. Basically every bookstore and bookseller have a sale and they all start on the same date or close enough. And this has been going on for as long as I can remember. Unfortunately for me, I am on a low-key book buying ban. No, I'm not kidding. Yes, I do in fact hate myself. I honestly haven't really defined the rules of this book buying ban. Basically, I'm allowing myself to buy special editions of books I know I already love, or like authors I know I already love, and also sequels. That's how far I have allowed it. And then the rule is that for every 5 books I read of my own physical TBR, I am allowed to purchase 1 book. So the idea of this book buying ban is to practice self-control, motivate me further to read the books I already own, and also to be a bit more financially responsible. But that's no fun, right? Especially during the book sale. So welcome to this video where I will be talking about the books I would have bought if I was not on a book buying ban. I'm not saying I would have purchased all of these books, but these are books on the sale that have caught my eye. These are in my cart already. I won't click purchase, but these are in my cart. Realistically, if I didn't have these rules, this book buying ban, I maybe would have purchased like 5 to 10 books during this time. If I were to actually buy these books, I would do a lot more research, which would probably narrow down the books further. I also want to mention that it's quite common that the books on the book sales are a bit random. It's not always the most popular books. Some are. Those are like golden nuggets. But yeah, it's typically quite random books. Sometimes it's sequels. And also, just for the record, I'm not considering large paperbacks. Like, no. I can't stand them. I don't want them. No. Most of the bookstores, like the nationwide bookstores, I don't know about the indie bookstores, I can't really speak for those, but the nationwide bookstores that also have websites where you can purchase books, I've had a look at most of those, and 2 of them didn't really impress me at all. 2 of them I would have purchased books from if I was allowed. Also, many of the bookstores right now in February are doing like pre-orders, and also the selection online doesn't necessarily reflect the selection that will be in actual bookstores later on in like March. It's an entire thing. Like, I don't know if any other country does this or why Sweden specifically do this. I really don't know. I should have researched this. Obviously, there's also multiple sales during the year, but this is like the big one. Stores print catalogs for this book sale. Like, it's a big deal for some reason. Please say that you saved my cards. Of course you didn't. Let's start with my favorite bookstore, which is the Sci-Fi bookstore. They specialize in fantasy, science fiction, horror, and it's also sort of like a nerd hub in some ways. There's a bunch of like games, Warhammer stuff. It's a really cool store, and they have a bunch of English titles, which is incredible. When I'm looking at these sales, I'm mainly, basically only looking at English titles, because that's what I read. So already on the first page you see this like book sale. It's all in Swedish obviously, but like book sale 2025, and then they have put it into various categories. What I did now is I filtered it by language, and I also filtered it by format. As mentioned, I don't want any large paperbacks, I can't stand them. And then I basically scrolled through this. And I do think they have added titles since yesterday. So I do think they are somewhat adding titles throughout the sale. Let's look at what I put into my cart, I think. So first I put in my cart is a book I've actually seen before, and I believe I do have it on my Amazon wishlist. And that is The Sky on Fire by Jenn Lyons, also the author of The Rune of Kings, which I have started but not yet finished. This one I now see though is a large paperback, so bye bye. But this book I would be interested in. It seems to be some sort of fantasy. Next, Bloodskyan. I've seen this around a few years ago. It was released in 2023. I've heard good things about it. I don't really know much about it, but I mean the price is fairly reasonable. Let me know if you have read Bloodskyan and what you think of it. Eden is a book I picked up a few times while walking around a bookstore, mainly because of the large wing on it. I have a thing for wings and angels, so that is sort of what's pulling me in. I feel like I've heard mixed things about it though. Maybe I should have like a Goodreads open just to compare and figure out if these actually would be good purchases or not. As mentioned, I would do a lot more research if I were to actually buy these. Now it's just things I put into my cart. Eden by Jim Craze. It has quite a low rating, so maybe I wouldn't. The Crimson Fortress. This one I would actually be allowed to buy because it's a sequel to a book I own and have read. It's a sequel to The Ivory Key, which I read like 3 years ago now, I think. And even though it is a young adult novel and I only gave the first one 3 stars, I still have the interest of continuing and finishing this duology actually. But I see now that it's out of stock. This is the one book I actually would allow myself to buy because it's a sequel. But I can't because it's out of stock. Bibliophile Diverse Spines. I don't know, I just thought it was fun to add it. A bunch of these books are already out of stock. That's insane. They released this list or this pre-order sale thing yesterday. Also, maybe I didn't mention, these books right now are just for pre-order. The official sale starts at like the end of February, but these are titles that you're able to pre-order so that you will actually get them on the sale, because they might sell out, which it looks like they're doing now, so that's insane. This is another book I would be allowed to buy. Veiler. I still haven't read Malice though, the first book in the series. It's a good price for the sequel. I'm assuming I will like the first book, but maybe I should read the first book before purchasing the sequel. Hex Education. This just sounded like fun. It's a fantasy romance about witches. I don't know, it sounded cute. I haven't seen it around. I feel like this is an odd one maybe. Let's look it up. Hex Education. Yeah, it has a low average rating as well. That's what I'm saying with these books are quite random. Silkfire, I feel like is a book I saw around a lot, like 2 years ago or something. It sounded cool actually. Corra's life is consumed by power, politics, sex and vengeance. Sounds perfect, amazing. Do I have it on my want to read? Silkfire. Maybe not. No, I don't. Oh, it has a really low rating. A 2.08. Braised Pork. This, I believe, is a translated book. And I don't know what it's doing in the sci-fi bookstore. 3.45. It sounded interesting. It's like one morning in autumn, Jia walks into the bathroom of her Beijing apartment to find her husband dead in the bathtub. It's a cinematic, often dreamlike evocation of nocturnal Beijing and the high plains of Tibet. I actually think this sounds interesting, so I would keep it in my cart. Build Your House Around My Body. I've seen this one around a lot as well. It's already sold out too. Like everything sold out. The Launch Party. This just sounded like fun. The trip of a lifetime. You'd die to be here. 10 lucky people have won a place at the most exclusive launch event of the century. The grand opening of Hotel Artemis, the first hotel on the moon. However, they soon discover that all is not as it seems. When one of the guests is found murdered, fear spreads through the group. But that death is only the beginning. It sounds like fun. This, I swear this is gonna have a low rating as well. The Launch Party. I can't spell party, that's fine. 3.41. Not awful. I think I've read lower. I'm gonna put it to want to read. I think it sounds fun. Tangle's Game. Another one I haven't seen around. This one is like 6 years old. And it's a tech thriller based on the growing role of blockchains, encryption and social media in society. I wonder how this one has aged. It's not an old book, but so much has happened with social media, AI and machine learning in just like the last year. So it would be interesting. 2.81. Yeah, that's bad. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I have read this one actually, so I would be allowed to buy it because I am allowing myself to purchase books I've already read. If I want them in my collection, I might reread them. This could actually be a good option for a reread, considering this will be a theme throughout this video as well. But I've seen a bunch of TikToks about the upcoming release of Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. And people are making like these lists of books you should read or can read before reading Catabasis. And Alice in Wonderland is one of them, and also many other like classics and things. And I would really like to make a video about that actually, of me reading those books as assigned reading before reading Catabasis later in August. So because of that, I maybe would have purchased this one. It's some sort of special edition with suede-like custom cover, beautiful metallic foiling and ribbon marker. It's short though. I don't think Alice in Wonderland is that short. 94 pages, is that possible? And finally, Tunnel of Bones, which is the sequel in the Cassidy Blake series by Victoria Schwab, aka V.E. Schwab. And I've actually read the first book, so this is another one I would be allowed to purchase. And I actually might just do that, because I've been wanting to continue with the series. Oh, and I think the third one is on sale as well, but that one is already out of stock. Let's move on to the next bookstore, where things will be even more chaotic, because I did gather a cart. I put in like, I think 30 books or something in it. And now it's not there. Once again, I will be looking at English books. So let's go to the English books. And then it's split in multiple categories like YA, literature, fantasy, hobbies, history. So I'm just gonna pull up a bunch of things that are catching my eye and we will talk through them together. And also let me know if you see anything that you think I should purchase and try to convince me. Okay, so I feel like I have a fairly good collection. I probably missed some from my original 30 picks or something. But let's talk through them and see what we got. From the YA section we have To Kill a Kingdom. This, I've just heard amazing things about it. I know it's a bit of an older one, I think. When was it even released? Back in 2018. But I've heard so many good things about it. It's some sort of standalone fantasy with pirates. And honestly, that's all I need. So this is definitely one I would purchase. I've been on the lookout for this book. Can you imagine the self-control, the self-restraint I have right now to not buy this book? I'll just put it in the cart. Library of Heartbeats. I had never heard about this before. I saw it on here and then I remember looking it up. And it actually sounds quite interesting. Let's talk about it. It's on the peaceful Japanese island of Teshima is a library of heartbeats, a place where the heartbeats of visitors from all around the world are collected. Doesn't that sound incredible? A small isolated building, the heartbeats of people who are still alive or have already passed away continue to echo. I need to at least add this to my want to read then. The Library of Heartbeats. It's got a high rating as well. Like, this is one of those expected finds, I would say. Ministry of Time. This one was everywhere last year. I am really intrigued to read it. Do I know what it's about? Not really. Something sci-fi, something time travel. I've heard mixed things about it, I think, but I would still like to get my own opinion about it. I, who have never known men, heard plenty of people praise this book. And yeah, I would like to be part of that crew actually. It's been out for like 6 years. But it sort of got a revival, a renaissance last year. Pachinko, would love to read this one. I know it's supposed to be amazing. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Historical fiction. Iron and Embers. This is some sort of romantasy, I think. But it sounded quite fun actually. An alchemist and a poisoner. And she fights for a place at the Ancient Alchemy Academy. It sounds fun. What's its rating? Iron and Embers by Helen Schurer. It's high, 4.4. And it's a recent release. It was published like a week ago. Adding that one to my want to read. I'm not the biggest romantasy girly, but it's fun to be a part of the hype sometimes. The Book of Love. This is another one I've heard very mixed things about. Some people think it's boring, some praise it a lot. I've been intrigued by it. I haven't really been discouraged by the negative things I've heard. So I would like to get to it someday. Jonathan Strange and Miss Norrell. Now we're getting back to the Calabasas thing that I was talking about before. People are suggesting that you can read Susanna Clarke before reading Calabasas. I have read Piranesi. I would like to have another go with that one actually, because I don't think I fully appreciated it the first time around because I was so confused. So it would be interesting to do a reread of that one. And I've heard good things about Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, but I also know that this book is huge. I think it's like 800 pages or something like that. But this one would be fun to read in preparation for Catabasis. Am I saying it correctly? I saw someone online say that it's Catabasis, not Catabasis. I don't know. Fushi's Wrath, another YA I've seen around. Or is this even YA? Maybe not. An epic romantasy debut. Yeah, this one is pitched as the Count of Monte Cristo story. And I don't know if you know, but I love the Count of Monte Cristo. Like the revenge plot and all. So, I mean, this one, come on. This would be epic. Spark of the Everflame, I've heard really good things about. I've seen it around here and there. And people really like it. Some sort of book talk book. Some sort of fantasy, romance, I'm guessing, but like seriously good maybe. And that's also the first book in the series, so it would have been perfect. Yeah, it's got like a 4.2. That's good. Sons of Darkness. I think I've seen Patrick rave about this one. It's the first in some sort of epic fantasy series. The House of the Dragon meets Succession. That's a pitch. I've seen fantasy booktubers I trust rave about this one. And that has got my interest. I'm putting all of these in my cart even though I won't be able to buy them. This one is interesting. The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. I think this is like a short story collection of various fantasy novellas. I want to read Ken Liu's The Dandelion Dynasty, whatever that one is called. But meanwhile, perhaps I could read his short stories. Piranesi, here's the one. This one is on sale as well. I might just pick it up and do a reread of it. I'm allowed. Then we're heading into more nonfiction. The New Silk Roads. Like there's a part of me that wants to be, I want to say smarter. That sounds stupid though. But I want to be more aware of history, more knowledgeable, let's say. And I've heard great things about this author's other books. They are constantly suggested when you're researching like history books. I believe it's called just like The Silk Roads or something like that, and this is apparently a new release which focuses more on the present and the future. I don't think I would read this before reading the first one, not that it matters. This one, I'm mostly here to enjoy myself. I, first of all, love this cover and the title. I have seriously considered to pick this book up multiple times because I just think it sounds like a lot of fun. I think it's some sort of memoir about someone who went abroad to Paris and are like discovering things and having sex and whatever. It could be fun. I like the cover. There are a few covers like this that I love and would love to have on a shelf together. It's this one, it's the My Year of Rest and Relaxation one, and also Me Talk Pretty One Day. Imagine those three next to each other. Cute, right? I want that for me. The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World. Once again, want to know more about history. I saw this in bookstores last year when I was in London. And yeah, I think this would be a cool read. I want to learn. I want to know things about the world. Woman's Lore. Also saw it everywhere last year. 4,000 Years of Sirens, Serpents and Succubi. Speaking of learning and knowing things, they have like this, I don't know what to call it. The gorgeous collector's edition of like a bunch of various topics. So we have Egyptian ancient origins, Roman ancient origins, Slavic ancient origins, like there's plenty, Japanese, Korean, American would be good books to own and read, right? And they look so pretty. They look so pretty. I would love to own these. Lessons in Chemistry. I've been meaning to get to this. I don't know how many times. I have borrowed it from my library. I don't know how many times. I never get to it. The only way I would get to it now is by either listening to it as an audiobook or owning it myself. The Year of What If. This is just another one of those random ones. It doesn't have the highest of ratings, but there's something with the description that still speaks to me. On the verge of her second marriage, Carla knows she's found the one. But Carla's highly superstitious family insists that she visits a fortune teller before her big day. And the tarot cards reveal that a different man holds the key to Carla's happiness. Someone she met while traveling during a gap year, 21 years ago. So this story takes us to like Barcelona, Amsterdam, Turkey, Paris, everywhere in Europe. Sounds like fun. I think it could be a cute summer read. Consultant. The only reason I'm interested in this one is because I myself am a consultant. And this is some sort of thriller translated from Korean about a consultant that provides the ultimate solution to problematic employees. I will read this one day and recommend it, or at least talk about it to all my colleagues. White Nights. I've heard plenty of people praise this little book. I just know that people really think this is beautifully written and discusses love in a very beautiful way. I just collect these omnibus editions of books, like the gorgeously leather-bound, gold-stained edge thing. I love them. And I don't have the Sherlock Holmes one, and many others as well. Like, plenty of these are on sale, but I still think they're pretty pricey, pricier than usual. This is something I would have considered if I was allowed to purchase books. Paradise Lost and Other Poems. Once again, throwing it back to the catabasis thing, Paradise Lost is another literary work recommended to read before catabasis. That's why I might have the interest of reading this year. Same topic, this one, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Virgil the Aeneid, the Epic Tale. The Epic Tale of Aeneid by Virgil, or something like that. It's one of the greatest works in Western literature. It was written in Latin, and it recalls the events after the fall of Troy. And finally, Feel Good Productivity. I've followed Ali Abdaal on his YouTube channel for years, and I have been meaning to get to his book because I really like him and want to support him, and I'm also just interested in the topic of productivity. So, I mean, this would have been the perfect opportunity to finally get this book, right? I mean, I would purchase Piranesi, and I could talk myself into picking up White Nights because it's so cheap, it's a really small book. I would finish it very quickly, I promise, but I wouldn't have free shipping. So I would need to add a bunch of other books in order to have free shipping. Why am I doing this myself? Why am I looking at books I know I won't be able to buy? So there we have it, a bit of a come shopping with me on the online bookstores. I wanted to talk about the books that caught my interest and get the endorphin kick as if I had purchased them, even though I haven't. So it's sort of like a haul, but without the hauling. Let me know what you thought of this video and also of my reasoning. Let me know what you would have picked up from this sale. I'm just glad I got to hang out with you and talk about books that have caught my eye these last 48 hours. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!